What has changed? So there were the good old days, and then Al Gore came along and invented the internet. Or at least so they say. And everything changed. And that is not a joke. The internet has changed the world. We are able to build cyber communities of patients spread out. CLL Topics reaches patients in 83 countries. And that's just amazing to me. There are people here that I have known for years that are closer to me than my biological family, and I'm meeting most of them for the first time here. Now, how can you be a family and not see each other face to face? Because I guess faces are not really that important. We can really talk to each other in our communities, in our cyber communities, and reach across geographic lines. Republicans get CLL too, I am told. I mean, I don't know if Mr. Bush would ever get CLL. He would be welcome, with difficulty, but he would be welcome. So it's really a non-discriminatory cancer. It really doesn't discriminate on your political beliefs, your religious beliefs, or your even ethnic diversity, and so on and so forth. Some people say that Asians get CLL less often than you pale faces. But my husband was an Asian, and he got CLL. So I don't buy a lot of that stuff. Take it with a pinch of salt. Now, what makes the internet so powerful is if I write a review of an important article on CLL Topics and it gets published, it gets read by thousands across the globe in a matter of hours. Very often, we review articles that are still on online editions only and have not made it into the hard copies. So most of you have read the review of the article before the actual hard copy of blood or whatever gets to your oncologist's desk. So you are several steps ahead of the other guy. And this has made for a very different doctor-patient relationship. And this is something that patients have to learn. I think they've already learned it. The guys who are a little behind the 8 ball on this one, I think, is doctors, learning that things have changed. And we better get used to this new paradigm. It ain't going to go away. I don't think we are going to shut down the internet anytime soon, and we certainly are not going to shut down CLL Topics anytime soon. And this is, as they say, if you can't beat them, join them. So the doctors who are really successful, in my opinion, and will stay successful in the era to come are those who understand and accept the role of the motivated patient, the role of the informed patient, and keep this as a partnership that it ought to be. So let's move on. As this guy says, how the hell did we survive before we had the internet? When I put that slide up, I was looking for ticking time bombs with really short fuses to march behind my drummer boy. And since I was coming to Canada, I wanted to find marching bombs with short fuses and Canadian flags. I couldn't find any. The only ones I found were the American flagged ones. But that may have something to say about the persona of Yanks. We do have short fuses. And everything I've heard in the last couple of days when people were saying, what should we be doing in Ontario or the provinces to get access to some of these drugs? Just about everybody said circumspectly in sometimes that you need to get a bit more active in your patient advocacy. Your fuses are a little too long, guys. You need to bring them down a little bit. Start talking up. Start talking to your legislators. Start talking to the people who make the decisions on whether or not Rituxan gets into the Canadian pharmacology. And squeaky wheels do get oiled. And you don't have to go bang. You can be nice and charming about it. I'm told that honey catches a lot more flies than vinegar, though personally I wouldn't say I can vouch for it since I've never tried it. But seriously, you do need to speak up if you need to be heard, and closed mouths don't get fed. Somebody brought that to my attention the other day. You want Rituxan availability with the kind of data that has been presented? I think it's terrible that it's not already been approved. So I think the data is conclusive that adding Rituxan to FC makes a difference. This has been published in very important, prestigious journals. You don't have to take my word for it, not riffraffs like patient advocates, but real MDs have said it works better. It's been published as a result of clinical trials, solid clinical trials done both in the US and in Europe. So why is it not approved? Speak up. No one else is going to do it if you don't do it. Okay? There's something else that's going on that I would like to talk about. There is a whole lot of expert information available, both in North America and in Europe. There is no lack of smart and dedicated researchers at the top hierarchies of CLL. They know a lot, and they can help us a lot. I'd be the first one to acknowledge and pay homage to how hard these people work and how smart they are. The big problem is the trickle-down ain't happening. This concept of trickle-down, whether it's economics or information, just doesn't work for me. Stuff sticks at the top. It doesn't come down fast enough to where we need it. Where rubber meets the road, it ain't happening. At the local level, the expertise is abysmal. What I would like to coin as the strip mall oncologist that we have in the US is a far cry from my friends at Mayo. And this is one of the biggest problems for CLL patients in the United States, because the majority of us are not treated at the Mayo or MD Anderson or any of the other big centers. They are treated by local guys who might see one CLL patient a year. How much do you think he knows about CLL? Surely not more than you do. And this is the problem. How often does he go to ASH? How often does he take CME exams to find out how much he knows or what he doesn't know? Local oncologists, and when I say oncologists, I'm not talking hematologists, there's a distinction. An oncologist treats all kinds of cancers. He treats all the solid cancers, and he treats a dozen blood cancers. So think about it. He's got a pancreatic cancer patient who's going to die in 6 months. He's got a dozen acute lymphomas and leukemias, and in you walk with your good chronic lymphocytic leukemia. What's he going to tell you? He's going to say, geez, this is a good cancer. Don't waste my time. Go home. I've got bigger fish to fry here. That's what's happening. Okay? Where do you get the respect? You get the respect for sure when you go to a CLL expert center. But how many of you, I don't know about Canada, I have to admit some ignorance. I don't know how many of you get treated by experts and how many of you get treated by I wouldn't say layperson, but oncologists, general run-of-the-mill oncologists. The level of expertise is just a huge difference between the Dr. Foley's and the real local guys, the Dr. Neil Kay's and the local guys. It's not the same medical care at all. And you may have perfectly legitimate insurance if you're American, perfectly legitimate socialized medicine that you paid for with your taxes if you're Canadian. But you're not getting the same care.